What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla and SPY and talk about some very important tickers out there as well. Break down why tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day as we're going to see a big reaction to what happens with Apple's earnings and why you should be very careful right now looking at how the market is moving. But before I break anything down about all this information, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, in just about 2 weeks, as it has been extended, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Alright, so Tesla got this nice little bounce off this 250 supporter, very close to that. I told you in the morning we're going to be watching this 250 level. Could we bounce off this, or will we see Tesla continue to sink? And if anything, Tesla managed to get a small bounce off of it and is trying to hold up as the market is once again starting to show some improvements. But the question is, will the market continue to pump? Is the market going to explode tomorrow, or is the market about to get a rug pull? And this is going to be determined by Apple's earnings. Now, Apple's going to be the biggest piece of earnings coming out for tomorrow, and here's some things to really look out for. Now, we're not just concerned about their EPS and revenue, but also their guidance. What are they going to tell us about Q4? What's going to be going on with the fourth quarter, the third quarter as well, and also for the next upcoming quarters moving forward? What's going to happen for the next year for them? We're going to be finding out more information about this and any news about new products or any potential share buybacks. Now, going down right over here, you can see what Wall Street is expecting for them. Revenue is expected to be around 82 billion, EPS around 1.19 a share, $1.19 a share. The iPhone revenue is about $40 billion, what we're hoping for, and the rest of them are listed below. Now, this is what Wall Street's expecting. Could Apple meet these expectations? Sure. But even if Apple meets the expectations, that does not mean it has to keep on pumping, right? It doesn't guarantee that. It's very important that we watch and see which way it goes. Because guidance is going to be very important too. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Apple's guidance. Are they going to give us strong earnings or not? Earnings will be taking place after the market closes. We have Amazon and Apple all over here. We will see which way the market ends up going. The market's been all over the place dropping, and now it's trying to get a breakout of this falling wedge. You can see it right here on SPY. I'm going to make this a little smaller so you can see it. The market's trying to break out, right? But like I said before, there are two main possibilities. Even if the market tries to break out like this, there's always the possibility of Apple not doing well on earnings and causing the whole market to sink. I know it's not what you're thinking, it's not what you're hoping for, but there's one possibility of that potentially playing out. And if that were to play out, we could see the market re-enter this like falling wedge going into tomorrow. That is a possibility if Apple does really bad. If Apple ends up giving us relatively weak guidance. But what if they end up doing very well? If Apple does well, we could see this scenario play out where the market's here, it tries to like hold up around these levels for the time being. Maybe it like approaches the after hours and it slows down a bit temporarily before Apple's earnings. Then we get this big pump tomorrow. We see a short squeeze and the market starts pumping again because Apple does very, very well with their earnings. They give us strong guidance. They start pumping very hard. That's another possibility, right? There are two possibilities. Either the market just like gets a nice break to the upside going into tomorrow and it's ready for the breakout, or we end up falling right back into the falling wedge and this is a fake out. There are two possibilities. Okay, this will be heavily dictated by Apple and Amazon. And unfortunately, I can't really predict how earnings are going to go. So don't just be fooled by this simple price action right now. Simply look at what Apple is going to do in the after hours and also for tomorrow and pay very close attention to this earnings call. Now, I also want to add that because I don't know what's going to happen in the markets, I actually closed my short positions very close to where the low of the day happened to be. I also dollar cost averaged on some of them when it came to my entries, and I ended up exiting even more as the market started to show bullish signals. But the thing about that is, like I said before, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very careful. Now, I'm currently holding cash. I'm going to be watching to see if there are any other opportunities moving forward just for like scalping, but I don't plan on holding much overnight, to be honest with everyone. If you want, you could do that, right? You could, bet that the market's going to keep going up after Apple's earnings. You could bet that the market's going to tank because of Apple and Amazon and these others, but Apple's the main one. We don't know. We honestly don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Technicals are looking like the market wants to break out right now, but we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow still. So you have to be careful. careful. For that reason, always remember to manage risks, always be very, very careful in a market like this, and always remember that unexpected things could happen even if the market looks like it wants to break out. So be very careful, be calm, cool, and collected, and remember, it's very important to manage risks during days like this, not financial advice. Anyways, when it comes to Tesla, Tesla is trying to retest 257.5. If we get a break above that, it has the potential to come closer to about this 260 resistance. This is going to be the next major resistance. However, there's going to be some resistance at 258 flat. Also, 259 has a little bit, but the stronger resistance is going to be around 260. And getting a break above the high of the day would be a good sign for Tesla. But if Tesla were to reject off here, if we end up getting this rejection, it comes down to like 255, for example, 255.7, then we could see this thing come right back down to 254.25. From a technical standpoint, it looks like the market is trying to hold up quite nicely. It looks like it wants to start pushing up. So we're going to be watching these levels very, very carefully. Now, as great as it is to see Tesla trying to push up like this and the market trying really hard, please remember you have to be careful, first thing. And secondly, who knows what Apple is going to cause. If Apple causes a pump for Tesla, we're going to see Tesla pump all the way up into the 260s, right? It could happen. But if Apple fails on us and it ends up getting a rug pull, the whole market's going to come down and Tesla's going to come right back down into the mid 250s, maybe even lower than that, into like 250 flat or lower. It's going to be very, very big. So my warning for everyone is just to be very careful, be very, very mindful of what's about to happen, and then manage risks based off that. You know what the risk is. You know anything could happen tomorrow. So always be prepared. Finally, for the QQQ, if you look at the QQQ, this thing is once again starting to break out as we're seeing Apple gaining some strength and the market's starting to hold up. We're watching this resistance around this 375 area. We also tested our 372 area. In the morning, I told you if we broke 372, we're going to be watching this thing come all the way down to 370. Instead, we got a bounce off of that, and now it's testing 375. If this wants to keep going, if we break above 376, we have the potential to push up to 377.5. If we reject off this, you're going to be watching 375 flat as our support. If that fails us, right, we have 373 and etc. Volume has been pretty decent so far, and Apple is now starting to break out, which is helping the market. Apple's getting excited. Apple's trying to push up for the 200 EMA. We're starting to see some investors come in right before its earnings, so be careful and watch 192.5 if that could break or not on Apple. And Nvda is also trying to get above this 450 resistance. If Apple does really bad with earnings, though, you're going to be watching this thing come down to like the 440s again, if not all the way down to like 436 or 433. If Apple does very well, we could see Nvidia push all the way up to 455 plus, if not 460. Now, there's a bullish structure developing on this. This is starting to look a little bit more bullish in terms of the structure. So we will see what Apple causes. Will Apple pump the markets or not? We will find out tomorrow. We'll find out what happens after the market closes. But the best thing to do is just be very careful and be mindful of the risk. Sure, it may be fun to try to FOMO into this rally, but you have to be careful. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's the risk you have to take if you want to hold anything overnight. All right, so I want to make that as clear as possible for everyone. Yes, the technicals look kind of good right now. It's really good to see SPY trying to break out like this, but always be aware that there's always the possibility of the market coming right back down because of Apple's earnings and Amazon's. There's also the possibility of us just continuing to rip to the upside. We will see which one ends up taking place. We will see how this ends up turning out. Yes, the market's bullish right now. I just drew these based off of how we are looking right now. Obviously, the market could just keep going. But I'm just saying this, that you have to be prepared. You have to manage risks, and you have to be very, very careful. Okay? Be aware of this and do what you have to do. This is going to be one of your last opportunities to secure profits on your trades. If you want to hold overnight or not, this is your last opportunity. Market closes in just a couple of hours, so make sure you are prepared for that. So, all right, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, everyone. Please watch your levels very carefully and do what you have to do. Market to the moon, as the long term is still very bright despite the short term fluctuations. And peace out.